And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You are joined today with your hosts, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX CRM for Detailers, and Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from the Pints of Policy podcast, as well as hyperClean Car Care Products. That's right, which I finally got around to testing out a new one of your products. Well, new to me. So I swung by my shop and I was talking to the guys and
early
stuff.
for your tip already, are you, Shawn?
Oh, yeah. But
What's your tip already, man?
I like to put the tip a little in the beginning,
Just
and then
to
I
see
take
how
a
it
breather.
feels.
Just to see how it feels. You know, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair. Exactly. And then, and then I let it breathe. I let it marinate. And then I slide it back in.
What'd you try out?
Yeah. So the glass cleaner.
Oh, yeah. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Absolutely.
It's hard to, right? You tell people about glass cleaner. You go, yeah, but I've had glass. Like everybody used glass cleaner. And you just go, yeah, it's glass cleaner. Yeah. Which is why we never came out with one, right? Like I just never could get excited about it until Nick and I go, okay, we got to solve this glass cleaner thing because everybody keeps asking us for glass cleaner. How do we make a hyperclean glass cleaner, right?
Absolutely.
We know the problems with glass cleaner. We know the linting, we know the grabbing, we know everything. So how do we make it from a detailer's perspective with the most user-friendly application and experience in glass cleaner? You're right, man. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And where I tested it out too was I was prepping a car, just going over some stuff. We're filming some videos and stuff. So I was helping one of my guys prep a car for tint. And I said, oh, perfect opportunity. And at first they were trying to pretend like they never received it. And I was like, no. There was a bottle specifically for me. I said, it's got to be here. So it wasn't a full bottle anymore, but I still got to test it out. So I was happy about that. So anyways, we're going to have to get tons more. But on that note, we have this thing that we built. It's like a compressor type thing, not compressor, but we can use it to like spray out solutions and stuff like that. And but we built our own. It's like a manual pump type thing, but it sits on a wall. You can remove it too. I think we could fill that thing full because we have those docked in our tinting bay. And I was thinking that would be friggin' awesome.
If you need to spill some over the edge, all good, man. As full as you can get it. Yeah, man. Fill it.
Yeah, just fill it. And that's why I was wondering what sizes you have, because me, I'm not a nozzle guy. I like the
you're like, I think I can fill it full. I'm like, yeah, you can. Absolutely. You can definitely fill it full. All the way to the brim and make sure it's even flowing over.
Yeah.
Know that it's all the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, don't leave even one particle of air. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what you want to hear. What are you sipping on there? I saw you pouring something special.
This is from Great Divide. I tried it yesterday. It's quite delicious. It is peach milkshake IPA.
Peach milkshake.
I've heard you enjoy peaches. You were a fan of milkshakes back in the day. They kind of brought you around the yard, I think. And
but like 2 in 1. I don't know.
That's milkshake IPA. You just let that joke slide right through. Milkshake brings other boys to the yard.
Oh yeah. And they're like, it's better than. Oh my god! Yeah, wow, that
was one of the songs that I still cannot believe they got away with.
Yeah.
It was put out into so much mainstream.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was like, y'all understand what she's talking about, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That song, no joke. Maybe 2-3 days ago, I was watching a movie with my kids, on Disney. And boom, that song comes up. It was a show for like teens, I was watching with my kids, and song comes on. My kids start singing it, and I'm like, holy shit! Like they knew the words and everything. I was like, oh my god, So because you have one job as a father of daughters, you know what I mean? Like keep them off the pole, right? That's the whole job. And then they start singing this, and I'm like, Jesus, man. Like one of them barely could make it through the alphabet a few years ago, and now she knows the lyrics to this like backwards and forwards. It's like, ooh, babe, we're in trouble, Nah, it's good though. But they did try to, because obviously I know the real version, but they tried to kind of like not class it up, but they tried to PG-13 it, I guess, or something a little bit. But it was still, the gist was still there, 100% still there. But yeah, so my weekend though, something hilarious happened.
Oh yeah.
I think it was funny. So had someone from out of town come visit. It was their first time up in Canada, and we're hanging out, blah, blah, blah. surprised at all the snow and everything like that. And like, don't get me wrong, they're from like just south of here in the United States, but just south of here. So they still get snow and all kind of stuff, but they had this idea of what Canada was like, you know? And so we're driving and I'm like, no, see, like it's normal. We have streets, they plow the streets, they this and that, everything's the same. I said, we don't do like crazy stuff like, you know, live in igloos or something, right? We round the corner and no joke, I'm gonna have to send you a picture of my neighbor's house because he has kids. He fucking made an igloo, man. An igloo right in his front yard, and they had chairs in it and everything. They hadn't finished like a roof, so it was almost more just like a castle. But they had started it. You could see like they were getting close to the peak, you know. So you could see it's an igloo. And I just finished telling my buddy, I'm like, no, listen, like, see, like, look, we're one and the same, you know. Yeah. So basically, completely made me out to be a liar about Canadian culture because there are people that make igloos, obviously. Now we don't live in
Canada, right? I mean, that's it's pretty much. Don't you use the maple syrup while you're building your igloo?
We coat the igloo in the maple syrup. That way,
Oh, is that not really a thing? I really thought that was a thing too. Like, don't you guys go out to your igloo and like cut a hole in the ground so you can use the bathroom?
Oh yeah. No,
Isn't that
for
the way
fishing.
you guys do?
For fishing, yeah, but no for.
So funny, like, so we didn't ever think about that with Canada, but I used to think about that with the Alaskan people, like we really did. And you know, you joke and you laugh, but until you meet somebody that goes, oh, you're from Oklahoma? Do you guys, I mean, what are the igloos like? I mean, sorry, what are the teepees like? I'm like, wait, what? No, we don't live in teepees. We got a regular house. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So man. When it's shoes on the other foot, right?
It's true. It goes both ways.
Shoes on the other foot. My indigenous population has feathers. So
yeah.
We don't make igloos. We don't do round things. We do spiked things in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And here we have two types. Well, there's a few types, but here we have teepees as well. But then we also have wigwams, which are like, well, it's an Algonquin word for house, but it's basically it's almost like a mud hut type thing. We have wigwams here as well.
We still. Do you ever go out to any of the? I mean, listen, I love food from anywhere, but Indian tacos are really good. You can find some people here locally that will set up some of those street corner things when you get out a little bit outside the town. Nice. You know, you can find that. Or what is interesting is being in, I mean, Oklahoma is one of the hearts of, you know, the Trail of Tears. A lot of people had to come back here. So, you know, it's why we have casinos. That's the land they get to build them on. It's their right.
Same here.
You know, it's cool how they suffered at one point in time, but now, you know, they're set and their whole clans are pretty well set if they stay inside of what they're doing. So it is unique the way they've been able to do stuff. I really enjoy the different, you know, understanding more of their religion, you know, their spiritualism and everything about the land and what the different songs and dances and the way they do things. Like, I think that's I find that very fascinating. I've got a customer who is at a car wash. I mean, he's full blood and he's invited us out sometime. And I just haven't gone, but at one point in time, I do want to. Like they say you can come, 100%. There's just certain places that you can only sit and things like that, but you can watch a whole, like, you know,
man.
Guess it's called
that's amazing.
I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of them powwows. Yeah, we call them powwows. But like, there's different nations too. Like in Canada, there's like 140 something different like tribes and nations. So it's tough to keep up. Our biggest one here is the Mohawks. They're huge. There's like they're part of a thing called the Six Nations. There's 6 different like nations within a larger nation, and they're over 1 million strong. Like they're huge. One of the biggest ones. Anytime there's like protests or something like that, usually it's the Mohawks involved because they're the largest group, but the land they control is very strategic as well. So like Montreal, the bridge, there's a little city there, Chateauguay, it's part of the reserve. And there's a lot of people that work in Montreal. They're not Indigenous at all, but they live in Chateauguay. And sometimes if there's a dispute with the government or something, they just shut down the bridge and like nobody's going anywhere, you know? And so stuff like that. Cause I mean, they're kind of at a loss of ways to, discuss things with the government. Sometimes the government listens, other times the government's just like, nah, we've had enough, and they don't listen. They don't even want to talk about it. And so they're left with other options, but yeah, that's one of them. And then similar, like we're kind of in between different Mohawk territories, and so on either side there's a beautiful beach in the Tyne-Denaga reserve for some resort, for others reserve, but and there's a huge bridge to get there. They blocked it off and stuff like that, but yeah, it's one of those things. But mostly a lot of places they just kind of coexist, but they're more like urban natives now. It's not like what people would think, where it's like, oh, you have to live off the land. Like, no, I mean, the early settlers of Canada lived off the land, but do they still live off the land? No, we have Netflix and Amazon Prime and all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things. But yeah, because my family.
Wasn't there a recent? Was it Netflix or somebody did some type of show about living on the reservation? Reservoir Dogs or something, a remake of Reservoir Dogs.
Okay, yeah.
I think so. Somebody
Maybe
did.
on Netflix.
I've never been on a reservation. I don't know. I've never.
Okay, yeah.
This is the only thing. I mean, like you said, most Indians here, they're just part of, right? We're part of them. They're part of us. We all, it is kind of is what it is now, right? We're all together.
It's true. Yeah, exactly. It's just
we're just all
big melange of people, like it's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
now
here's
they still get
like that too.
You get stipends, you get certain things of being an Indian. I know there's I know a neighbor who they're not neighbor like right next door, just I know somebody that's in our neighborhood, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
We're in a neighborhood that I built a house years ago that was like a second part built onto a neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen for like 10 or 15 years type of deal, right?
Yeah.
So there's some different parts of the neighborhood, if you catch my drift. And one of those is a lady that basically, I helped her one day drive because I felt bad because I kept seeing her walk, and she said that she was on disability because of asthma.
Yeah.
Okay. But yet she's also a card-carrying Indian who gets a free house. And she has free tags. I mean, dude, there's some of them that do it the right way.
Yeah.
You're set. You really are. I mean, she just chills. She chills. Yeah. She's cool. Like.
Jeez. Yeah. See, the only benefits I use really are hunting and fishing. That's about it. Those are because, like, see, I have without giving personal info away, that's my card. I'll cover it. And then also I got this one here. It's harvester's card. So you can hunt and fish without a license, grow food wherever we want, stuff like that, the right to harvest, things like that. There are benefits, like my kids have their card too. But my wife doesn't as of yet. She can apply because she's married me. But my sister, she lost hers because she married a non-Indigenous person. And it affects women and men differently depending on the treaties you have, stuff like that. But yeah, we don't really do too much with it. Like, I mean, they say things like, the no tax and stuff like that.
But so those cards, so for here, if somebody's a card carrier, like, do you also have Indian hospitals?
Yeah,
I guess for you, I don't know, it's different there, but so here, like, there's specific hospitals, if you've got a card, almost like a military hospital.
Yeah,
you're the only ones that are allowed to come in and get, and it's some really great healthcare. I've got multiple friends that, I mean, that's their.
And we have that for dentists, eye stuff, optometry, all that stuff. Absolutely. I don't pay for prescriptions. My kids neither. And so it's just my wife. She's the only one that pays. But then, and we have hospitals too. So like when we were going to go travel, we were on our way to Mexico, and they introduced a thing where we couldn't leave the country unless we got the, the little jabby jab, the old waxy vaxy. We had to go. But the lineups were like, it's 3 months before you could get anything. And I said, no, this is crazy. So then I just called down to Wabano. That's what the place is called. And we were in that afternoon, and I was like, in and out, gone, and then we were in Mexico. But yeah, it's so there's like benefits like that and things like that. And there's that place Wabano that I was talking about. Wabino's Algonquin word, means new beginnings. And so that place, they do all kinds of things, not just healthcare things, not just social programs, but a lot of cultural teachings as well. And so they have programs for kids, because a lot of the times there's kids that, they came from up north. Both parents were alcoholics, drug addicts, committed suicide, just something terrible. And then these kids get basically custody of the state. And then the government just kind of throws them into, oh, well, you're 18 now, so go fend for yourself. But the kid has he's got the mind of like a 14-year-old,
Yeah.
And so Wabino works with them. They get them in like one of the first things they do is get them in like a boxing program, believe it or not. And I used to know a good buddy. He used to be like the facilitator or whatever, and he would help these kids kind of get back on track with things. And then where my involvement came in is I work with Wabino to help some of the youth, with some mentorship for business and things like that, because just kind of get them on the right track and what to do next. So it's little things like that, but because it's amazing seeing like a culture get just like decimated, and then now trying to like rebuild the pieces. So it's good that we live, in a city with things like that, though. If not, it's kind of a nightmare, like, yeah, I mean, you got one of two options. We either help people out, or next thing you know, they're stealing your car. Like those are your options, So it's like help them become members of society. But yeah, without taking a turn for the, so there's some pluses, but we have a shit ton of casinos too. Absolutely. There's we also have some government run ones here too. But then we have a lot of native ones as well. So that tobacco, lottery stuff, the typical things you'd see. But now I'm seeing more and more other types of businesses pop up. And I actually have quite a few OrbisX members that are on reserves, and they've got, car washes there and stuff. But yeah, a lot of gas stations too, because the gas is cheaper, right? They don't pay all the government tax. So the gas is usually, like 20-30 cents cheaper. And, so people go there and fill up. But I would never fill up there personally. There's a little bit of a bait and switch there that goes on. But anyways, that's part of a whole nother story. But yeah, anyway, but that's pretty cool. I didn't know that about Oklahoma, though. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. So we're kind of in like one and the same in terms of, because like, there's a lot of places in the United States that don't have a huge presence,
Yeah, no, they got sent here.
Yeah.
It's called Trail of Tears. Like,
yeah. They're like purposely, boom. That's where yeah.
Yeah, I remember growing up, right? So 80s growing up. And for the most part, the only really thing of, Indian that we really, this just never has been bad, right? Like, but there were, right? Like my grandparents, my great grandparents, they remember battles. They remember, shootouts. They remember stuff like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So,
I know everyone thinks it was like you read in the history books and they're like, oh, that was, like forever ago. Right. But it's like, not really. Like there's things that were really quite recent.
I think that the interesting thing for us was always Indian. What affected us is there was a law in Oklahoma that was put into effect that because of excess drinking, and because we were a religious, a Bible belt beating state, they put into a law a long time ago the amount of alcohol that could be served in a beer.
Wow.
To limit the amount of drunk,
drunk and disorderly stuff. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
But it was specific. There was heavily written into it.
Wow.
Because of, and
because of that. Yeah.
It wasn't until I think 2017, something like that. 16, 15, somewhere through there. That's when we finally were able to get, I couldn't get beers like this. That's why it's a big reason why I celebrate having these cool beers, really.
That would all make sense.
We could never get anything. So, and we give shit for the guys, right? And it's funny. I know there's some people of part of our community that also listen to this, and we give some people some shit, and we give them shit specifically about drinking stuff like Busch Latte. And the reason why is that's all we could get.
Yeah.
Like we literally, and we drank when there was a big theory when, I think it was Budweiser. Once our state went to where we went above 3 point or whatever it was, 3.2. Then
that's really low. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's very low. Well, we drank. There was only 4 states that still drank those beer, but we drank more of that beer than all 3 of those other states combined. So there was this like that they were going to do away with it for these other players because there was no other reason. Right now, the big beer drinkers in Oklahoma, we didn't need that, low point beer, and we could have fine, great beverages like peach milkshake IPA. And it is good there. It's strange. It's strange, but it's good.
Yeah. That's a very unique flavor.
Something else that's been strange for me lately, and it's also pretty fucking hilarious at the same time, is the humor of, well, let me ask you, how old are you? I'm 40. I'll be 45 here in a couple of months. How old are you?
38. Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you ever get a trophy as a kid because you won?
Well, yeah.
Did you ever get a trophy when you didn't win?
No, not when I didn't win. No.
Yeah.
Unless it was like sometimes I used to play hockey, and they would have like 3 different tiers for like the top 3 teams amongst, like 50 teams.
Okay, but you didn't just get
just for fucking showing up?
For showing up, did you?
No.
Right? Like I didn't either. And I remember there's this.
That's called taking attendance.
Yeah, well, did you ever play like in school? We would have these like field and track days.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And you would get a ribbon, and you would compete at different meets, right? And you would get a ribbon if you were one of the top 3 finishers.
Yeah, but top
3 finishers of each thing. And so for us, it became then, right? Everybody's going back in, and you're in the line before you go in, and you're trying to show, and it's a big, right? Who won who and who. I had a buddy named David Brandt, was always faster than me. Yeah. And I did everything I could not to be in that same line because I wanted to make sure I could win, because when we got back there, we would have to compare how many of the blue ribbons, how many of these, right?
Yeah.
We didn't compare how many, like, just for showing up. Like the guy that got 4th place didn't get a fucking goddamn ribbon, right?
It's true. Yeah.
So
he went home with the try harder next time.
I'm laughing, literally laughing, having a really great time seeing how many people are handing out trophies and awards. Like,
for
the
everything.
amount of people that get awards is hilarious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely hilarious. It's like Oprah. We've all become Oprah, and you get an award, and you get an award, and hey, you've been around long enough. Oh, great job. Oh, you keep doing this and this and this every day. Oh, you're doing a great job. And you get an award, and you get an award, and you get an award. And it's like, God damn.
Yeah. I know there's one for everything now. It's like, oh, top sales on a Monday, you get an award. What the fuck? The rest of his week was shit.
Wasn't even top sales. It was just, hey, you've been doing, I mean, you can name whatever, right?
Yeah. I've noticed that too. I've seen a lot of brands.
I got an award. Here we go. I got an award inside of a group. I've been putting out and talking to people. Like, one of the avenues that I've found very fascinating, especially for our distributors and what we're doing and for that and hyperClean, but it's also great for the service side of people's business, is to talk to car guys, right? Yeah. Talk 100%. To car guys, people that like their car, and talk to them, have communication. So one of those is inside of, which I think was that one of my tips or something one time about going into these car clubs, talking to them. Guess what I got the other day, motherfucker?
What'd you get?
I got me an award for being a top supporter inside of this goddamn Facebook group. Ding.
I've seen those a lot lately. It's like top contributor, top fan badge, all this kind of shit. Just giving out awards for.
You get an award. You get an award. You contributed, so you get an award. Like,
it's true, yeah. I know.
I felt so proud of myself. By golly.
Framed it. It's true though. I've seen a lot of that going on, a lot. And my wife, actually, she was just telling me she was in a group. It's like a mom's group type thing, and she's in a few different types of moms groups, and she helps out other moms with advice and stuff like that and whatever. And there's this one group that she's in purely because the drama that goes on there is just at times comical. And so she's in the group because she got invited. A couple of her friends were in it, and she just watches stuff. But she said she posted twice, and then they sent her this thing about being a top contributor, and she got some fan badge. And she said, holy shit, I don't want to be a top contributor for a group that's toxic like this. So she left the group. And so she just like left.
She didn't like her reward.
Yeah, no, it's like,
We're
it's
taking
silly.
that back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, thanks, but no thanks, and because you don't need an award for everything, but I've noticed there's a lot of
rewards being handed out lately, man. A lot of awards. Are you sure we don't need them?
Yeah. Oh, I'm positive. And I think that I think what it is a lot of places are realizing that, oh shit, if we make people feel a little hint of special, they're going to go show it off and it's going to be exposure for whatever. So they just give away bullshit awards, There's some legitimate ones out there. Don't get me wrong. Like OrbisX right now, like we're sponsoring Paint Assassin of the Year for a group. And, it's for whoever's going to be the best, like paint corrector and this and that. But it's not that everyone gets an award. They have one winner every month, and then they have a yearly winner as well. And so there's a lot of people that aren't going to get it, but that's where better luck next year, level up your skills, and it pushes people to keep going. But it's almost like this communist, everyone gets a reward. Like it doesn't work in my brain. It's you're taking away the motivation that I feel like a lot of us had when we were growing up, like you said, like with our age groups. I look at the kids nowadays, motivating them is harder, I find, than, like I look at my staff, the split definitely down the middle. The young guys, a lot harder to motivate unless I pat them on the back every 2 seconds for the stupidest little things. Way to go. You cleaned out the vacuum today, man. Round of applause. Everyone give it up for Timmy, but the other guys, they're looking at that and they're like, Jesus, really? Like it's not what gets them going. So I kind of have to play both roles. So I give out a lot of awards at our shop as well that I shouldn't have to, but I got to try and motivate them somehow. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this over award giving?
Well, that was my thought. I think it's hilarious. I mean, because you start to look through it, who got awards, what they got awards for, and what they were doing. And you literally have some people getting these awards and you go, well, I know specifically this person was at fault in causing the demise of company. Like, or I know this person they took some award, but then they were just on this video. This is interesting, right? Like the guy that's been on the video lately talking about removing scratches, but then other people are looking at the video and going, that looks pretty much like one of those pins we use to circle out dents. Oh, this guy's on there going, do these 5 things in 5 seconds and you're going to get these results. But he was polishing off just a mark from a pin, not actually a scratch. But this guy has gotten hundreds of awards and people. So I think that to me is when I look at it, or, who's giving the awards, right? Like somebody hasn't been in the detailing business, but they're handing out business awards. Somebody that hasn't been doing the work, but is going to give somebody an award for something. Like that's when I start going, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. So this guy doesn't actually have a business. He's never actually been in business. He can't stay in business, but he's giving awards to people for business. What? Makes no sense at all. Like this guy hasn't worked on cars in years, but he's giving people awards for working on cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Odd. Let's just hand out awards. Let's do it. You get an award and you get
everyone
an award.
Gets it's a nice Oprah feel good moment.
Well, I mean, but I get it, right? Crazy. Everybody does like to feel special.
True. Yeah. But I do think one thing is that it kind of detracts from those that are doing real good for the community and for customers and running a business and stuff.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, big time. I think that, well, I mean, like me, I'm doing a lot of great things for the industry, but I'm not in it for awards. I could care less. Someone could give me an award, not give me an award, doesn't matter.
Ultimately, what's the best reward? You're in it for it, right? You're in for it, but it's not just to care, right? You're in for it, but ultimately it's to build a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that the ultimate 100%. Reward? And to do it 100%. In the right way, right? And people
100%.
go, oh, you're just about money. No, we have to have money. Yes, it is about money, but it's actually about doing it in a purposeful, in the right way, being able to still
exactly
have conversations, look people in the eyes, right? Like,
Yeah.
we then hear of stories of people saying, yeah, I tried to talk to those people about some actual questions and they kind of couldn't even answer them. Or, yeah, well, we found out, yeah, that guy,
They're
he's
not really
just
doing.
sitting on a couch and just being keyboard guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't actually ever detail. He just hands out awards. Okay.
Yeah. And that's where I think it's a lot easier for people nowadays to just get exposure and live off exposure versus actually doing something, you know, and that's where like
And I think the reason why that, I guess my ultimate deep down is I've had to talk to people that, recently I shared a story of a guy that he even told me one of the saddest days for him was taking those off of his wall.
wow.
It was the day he closed his business and he couldn't believe that he had to take these off of his wall. It was so sad. They meant that much to him. So it is interesting, right? For the
Yeah.
people that get their awards, they mean a ton.
Yeah.
But they didn't really mean anything because all those awards, all the people that gave them to you, everybody it really did just kind of muddy the waters into what is true success. What should really be
created a bubble. You felt
what should be the, target? What should be the reward? What should be what we're aiming for? What should it be?
Yeah.
And for him to have to take them off of his wall, we know that they didn't actually serve any purpose.
Yeah. And they weren't reflective of his actual business.
Everybody got to feel good. We got to hand out awards, not give out this award.
Yeah, exactly. It's see me, what feels good is knowing that my payroll is covered. What makes me feel good is knowing that my customers are happy and are going to return. That makes me feel good. Feels good knowing that at some point I can either exit Auto World or pass it on to my kids or whatever the case may be, Yeah.
I mean, I think, definitely a reward that I give myself every day when I wake up. I woke up.
Yeah.
I'm in business. I'm climbing.
Absolutely.
I'm moving forward.
Best one every day and not pulling stuff off the wall. Man, that is sad.
It is. It is. Like, it's funny, but then at the same time you go, but it's sad because how many in the industry are seeing the rewards and going, I want that person to honor me with an award. But then to go, you look under the hood and you go, wait, they said this was a car, but you're not a mechanic.
It's true.
Like, wait, I thought this was special. Wait, you don't even detail and you haven't detailed, but you're giving me a detailing award. Like,
Might as well come from your optometrist.
That's funny.
He's got eyes.
So I got this question because I got a call. I think you'll find this very, very humorous. I got a call earlier from it's a guy that listen. I picked up his call even though I hadn't heard from him in years. I gave him 15 minutes, even though I haven't talked to him 3 or 4 years probably. So that'll tell you the level of respect I have for the guy. Right. But he's a guy that has been working at a dealership. And he called and said, hey, man, I just need to ask you, we keep getting slower and slower. Like, you ready? You ready?
Yeah.
I want to start this detailing. I've been wanting to do it, but how do I get customers?
Yeah.
Wow. Hi to you too. Long time no see. Like, let me give you this magic ticket. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Just take 2 of these.
Just take 2 of these. I go, well, what do you think? He goes, well, I've been asking people. Okay. Well, what have you been hearing? Oh, I should hand out cards and put them on people's cars. Well, how'd that go? Well, I gave out 50 of them. And, well, nobody called me back. I go, okay, well, I'm pretty sure most people are like you and I, where if you get shit on their car, you just throw it away.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Well, I was told, to talk to people. Yeah. What else? Well, like no clue.
Jeez.
0, right? Like, and feel for the guy. He's in a spot He's unhappy. So this is not we laugh at some things. This was not a laughing moment for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like this was a real moment, which is why I had him walk through. Okay, well, what have you been thinking? So
Yeah.
Overall, there's thousands. And that's why I think you and I try and put out these things. That's why I think you and I try and put out as much as we can, because there's so many people. And I said, listen, man, that question that you're asking, it's the same question that if you look around at every single business, any single person who's ever decided to create a business, everybody asks the exact same question.
100%. And you know how you know that everyone still asks that same question? Whatever city you live in, whatever city you live in, just go type in, wherever, Chicago marketing company.
Yeah, there you go.
If there's more than one that pop up, they're in business because nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Okay.
So, and if everybody's, it's also a double-edged sword, because everybody needs it, but few people actually know what the answer is. And that's why I told him, I go, listen, they're asking for an answer and there's not an answer. There's actually 1,000. There's actually
that's
a million answers.
It's literally trial and error. And
so where I went, yes, but it gets just a hair deeper than that. I said, here's ultimately your answer, man. You have to try it. And you have to keep going. Yeah. Problem that most people have is they try something once, twice, three.
Well, he did the 50 cards and then stopped. Doesn't work, right?
Doesn't work.
Maybe it didn't work in that parking lot. Maybe it didn't work with that card. Maybe it didn't work on the day that you put it out.
And you should also have all these other things. You should have 100%. A website. You should message Shawn and get a website, right? Like you should do this, right? Like you should set 100%. Up OrbisX, and you should do that. Like you got to do everything. Yeah. It's not one thing to get in customers, man.
It's true.
Everything. And you got to do it over and over every single day for the next fill in the blanks. How long do you want to be in business? So you better learn to do this or pay somebody else to do it, man. Or 100%. Just pay somebody
and even
else.
If you pay someone else to do it,
or you got to pay somebody.
Yeah. And even if you pay someone else to do it, I think a big misconception too is people think that, the solution is I just throw, $5,000 to this company and they take care of all of it. No. They take care of a portion of it. You still have to do a lot of stuff. You're going to be involved 100%, and there's no company out there that's going to take care of it 100%. It doesn't exist, because even if you throw $1 million at it, they still have to pick your brain to figure out what kind of customers are you looking for? What kind of customers do you have? You're going to have to be involved to some capacity. And if you don't have $1 million to throw at it, the best thing you can do is use your time and sit down and think about some stuff you could try. Asking questions around, that's definitely a good start, I would say. One thing I would suggest is he's asking the wrong people, because what works for you might not work for him, right? It's a good starting place.
Well, come on, we know who he asked. Friends, his buddies, probably some salesmen at the dealership. Yeah. Nobody that's actually built a business, right? Like
it's true. Yeah.
And that's what so many guys like him do the same thing, right? Like I got an idea. This is what, right? You said it. I said, we say it all the time. It's having an idea is awesome. You have ideas.
Yeah.
It's executing. 100%. It's executing the idea
big time
that defines, right?
Absolutely. You know what?
Having chemicals was not an idea that nobody else had.
Yeah.
Well, trust me, if anybody's been to expos, not recording podcast at an expo was not just a singular idea. Now there's all these other people at podcast and teaming up with, coding companies, with, CRM companies. Magically, how that happened after we started working together.
I know, right?
Then there's magically tip stuff, right? Like it's magic how all that stuff happens, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of tip stuff.
Speaking of tip stuff. Oh man, I'm gonna try that line tonight. I'm gonna be like, so babe, thinking of tip stuff. Just a tip. Love it. Jesus. Oh man. So yeah, speaking of tip stuff, what do you well, I real quick, because before diving into that, this may lead to a tip, may not, but I was listening to something before.
You already been called out for your double tip.
I know. My bouquet of tips. I know. It's because I'm no, that's bad. It's off the clock though. I was gonna say I'm a one-man gang. That's tips in all directions. All right, patented. So so basically, I was listening to this thing before we talk. I listen to random stuff sometimes, and I was listening to this thing about colors because I was going through some stats at our shop to see if there was any commonalities between the vehicle colors that we see, right? Because maybe there might be an opportunity of some kind for marketing,
That's
changing
cool.
the images that we use.
If
Weird
you know
stuff.
so many people drive this color car, then maybe use that color in your marketing. I like it. That's cool.
Exactly. Thinking outside the box and stuff, because the default most people go to is, they go to Google and they type in like Lamborghini, and they find a nice red Lamborghini, boom, slap it on a flyer, and then away they go. So I was doing some research in that because I was like, okay, we don't see nearly as many Lamborghinis as we do Honda Civics, for example, right? And maybe someone else's shop is different. At our shop, we're focused on daily drivers because I want that consistent revenue. I want them coming in. I want, a guy with a Lambo probably has one Lambo. A guy with, a Honda Civic probably has one for him, one for his wife. He's got his daughter a Santa Fe. Like, who knows, right? He's got multiple vehicles. There's a lot of opportunities there. That's our sweet spot. So I was doing some research on the colors that we see and, the age of the vehicles, the type of the vehicles. And then I started just down this rabbit hole and learning about paint colors in general, which took me to two pretty interesting things. One's just a fun fact. The other one applies to automotive industry. So one was about planes. Everybody's always heard the thing, I'm sure you've heard it, where the reason they paint planes a certain color is because, white paint is lighter than, dark colored paint and stuff like that. And so that's been a theory people throw around. There's other theories about the cost of, tinting it and stuff like that. It's cheaper to just start with white paint or something like that. There's lots of theories that go out. One of the reasons they do this, they paint them, is number one, the resale value is higher because someone's starting with a blank slate. They can put their logo on it, they can envision it. But the other reason actually has to do with the passengers, which I thought was pretty cool. Because when you see a dark colored plane, you think psychologically it's heavier and it's going to be harder to get it off the ground. It's weird. Like, you don't even realize you're doing it. And so that's one of the reasons. I know. I made the same face. I was like, that's something I hadn't heard before. But
yeah, I didn't go there with it. I thought the answer was going to be about sitting inside and it's calmer, and when it's more plain, everybody's just more calm. And
yeah, so
that's what I thought it was going to be.
So, and you're absolutely right, because the other component of that is that a white plane. Hey, there you go. See, community. A white plane appealed more because ultimately they wanted gray, right? But then the reason they wanted gray was because it's the most common color choice for vehicles, which is crazy. The more boring the color, the more common it is, except in certain places. So Europe, for example, white is not the most common color. North America, white is the most requested and common color, which is crazy. Next to that is you've got the grays and stuff like that. And then this whole tangent, the rabbit hole I went down, took me into house colors and how they came up with beige and grayish, where it's like the gray, this and that. But so I started looking through our stats to see, what the most common colors were. And so gray wasn't on the list in terms of the top. I mean, we could give it a participation ribbon if you want, but but what we had white, black. Those are our most common. Okay. Gray was there, but gray was tied with navy blue for some reason, which is strange because every time I've gone to my shop, I've never seen navy blue there. And so I thought that was weird that it showed up on the list. But then I was asking my guys, I was like, hey, I ran these stats. This is what I saw. How come every time I come in, I don't see a navy blue car there? And so what was interesting is they told me navy blue, because a lot of the Uber drivers, that's the color of their car. And they said, they're not here very long. They're here just for a quick interior. We call it the mini detail. They come in, breeze out, and they're gone. And they said, we take those appointments only in the morning you get here around 11. So I was like, holy shit, that's pretty interesting. So I did learn some stuff. And so when we do our marketing, like we do ads specifically targeting Uber drivers. So when we do those, like flyers or whatever the case may be, when we do those, and by the way, here's a tip, a great little free tip.
Pre-tip?
You knew it was coming. Great little pre-tip. Can't help myself. Go to some restaurants near you. Give them something that they can give to the drivers that come pick up stuff. And anyway, that's how we get a lot of our Uber drivers that come in and they get, their cars clean. That's where it comes from. But now we're switching out all the artwork. We're putting in Honda Civics and Hyundai Elantras because those are the most common ones that we see, and the Sonata. And we're going to switch those out, and we're putting blue because if they see it, they can almost see their car, right? That's what we want. Putting a picture of a Lambo and then targeting Uber drivers, it's the wrong messages. You know what I mean? Which does bring me to my tip.
Full tip. Here we go. I don't know if I'm ready.
Full tip. Brace yourselves.
So I'm already tipped out, I think.
Yeah. So I'll be brief. I was listening to the same thing about the paint colors, and it took me down this road about creating the right kind of ads.
Too?
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll be brief.
I don't have to tell her. She already knows. 1 pump, 2 pump. No. So I was listening to this thing about Burger King.
Keep your head up, boy. You'll get it done one day.
Exactly. As long as one of us finishes, we all get a ribbon.
And the crowd goes, ooh.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm done. So Burger King was listening to this thing, and they were talking about their ads and their ad spend and stuff like that. And they've been spending consistently like $5 million to appear at the Super Bowl. Likely gone up now. These are 2018 stats. But
yeah, I think I saw a stat the other day of something like every 5 years it goes up. Now $1.5 million seems to be the average.
Jesus. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Hey,
I think now it's at like 7 something.
Damn. See, they've got the virtual real estate. You know what I mean? Like they've got the eyeballs.
But this is an interesting question. Not to dissect from your tip. I'm gonna pull your tip out for a second. I gotta examine this real quick before we put her back in.
All right.
You think it's a good value? If you had the $7 million, would you spend it on a Super Bowl ad?
Depending on the product or service I was selling, possibly.
This is yes or no, not a depending. Just pick whatever.
For my auto shop, hell no.
What?
For my auto shop, hell no.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by depends on what it is that I'm selling.
If you had like pick anything.
I would say 100%. 100%. And
it's $7 million.
Yeah, $7 million, absolutely. But the number of viewers that they have, see, I don't know enough about what you get for the 7 million to adequately answer this. Because if it's
you get a 30 fucking second commercial, is what you get. Just
one time.
Yeah.
Jesus Lord. It'd have to be a good fucking 30 seconds.
It has to, right?
Yeah.
But they've always, this is why I find it fascinating. They've always said, and this is those people always said, but this is the only time you're going to have that many people's attention. Right?
Yeah. It's
true. Spend to hit.
Yeah.
Until you look at somebody like Mr. Beast who goes, hey, anybody want to pay me $7 million to have 100 million people look? Right?
Yeah.
You get plenty more than that off of those videos, and that dude doesn't make $7 million.
That's true.
Well, so would you pay it?
I wouldn't.
Okay, now we're going backwards.
Yeah. See, I would if I had the right product and offer, but I wouldn't in 95% of scenarios. And the reason is in particular because of the rest of my tip. Because Burger King, they did.
All right, let's go back.
I'm going to put my tip back in. All right. So Burger King did it.
Technically counts as multiple tips if it goes out and back in, right?
I think it's still the same tip. Unless I put it a little further, then it's a new So Burger King did it, but Burger King at the same time, so they spent $5 million on this, 100 million eyeballs. All right, great. They got their Super Bowl ad. Okay. But they did something else that got them 8.4 billion, that with a B, organic views. And what it was is at the same time they were announcing, Well, everyone else is hiring all these, famous, photographers and stuff to set up the perfect shot of their food and, like craft those plastic burgers and make them look good. Everyone else is doing that. Burger King goes the other direction. And they start saying, we're going to use only the best, the healthiest, organic food. And they did a time-lapse video of their burger molding.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Remember that, right? That video got 1.4 million minutes of play on Facebook alone. So when you compare that, what did this cost them? A static video, little post, got viewed and shared and all kinds of stuff. Now, granted, it was because it was different, it was creative, it was this and that. And so I think what a lot of business owners need to do is say no to the Super Bowl ad, say no to the big ad spend and this and that until they've tried some other things. So figure out what your moldy burger is for your business, what's going to appeal to your customers. And I have an example of this because one of the guys in the group, I know, right? Yeah. See, still part of the same tip. Hasn't come out yet. Didn't touch air. So a great example, one of the guys in the group, he's an OrbisX member, great guy. He put out a video and it was about, how his shop, how they do PPF and, the care that goes in the vehicle and what the product is, how it works. He showed, like the product itself and then it being applied and all this stuff. But the title of his video is what takes the cake for me. And this deserves an award. The title of his video was Your First Rock Chip Before Your First Oil Change. And so his whole thing was targeting a very specific audience. So he makes a static video, gets to put it up, and he's going to target people that have just purchased a new car or are considering purchasing a new car and letting them know that you're likely going to see your first rock chip on the hood of your brand new car before your first oil change. And that puts in someone's head the seriousness of, holy shit, I'm going to spend all this money on this, vehicle. And before my first oil change, it could already be damaged. So it creates, that sense of urgency to, okay, I got to bookmark this. I got to reach out to these guys thinking to buy a new whatever, and I got to book my appointment to get this taken care of because prevention is better than the repair afterwards, right? And so I think he did a great job with the video. He's got a very solid, narrow niche market that he's targeting. So he's identified the customer he's going after. And that video, once he makes it, will be able to be reused in future ads and so on and so forth. So he found his moldy burger instead of the 30-second Super Bowl ad. So that's my tip. I will now withdraw.
That's how you do it. I don't. Hopefully the listeners don't go watch this, so they don't have a visual image.
Have the visual?
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
There's a lot more grunting involved.
Listen, I want to say, first of all, thank you to all the people that give you shit for the amount of double tips and extra tips. Like, thank you. I should not be the only one. There should be more shit given to Shawn for his extra tipping.
I know what my award's going to be this year.
Yeah. You're going to get just a big solid tip. You're going to get a fucking penis head. And it's just going to be the tip. Like, that's
going to look like
reward.
Medusa with all the fucking snakes.
And thank you to everybody. Like, we've had people reach out too that have bought product from hyperClean and said, hey, we listened to the episode. They love the tip section and people leave comments. So thanks for everybody that's bought some product and left a comment saying, they listened to the episode. So we really appreciate that. I want to say for my tip is it's actually kind of ironic you were talking about the Super Bowl, because I'm sure you're like most people, you've gone through the store and you've seen that little sign that says, as seen on TV.
Yep.
Right? Usually it has a star around it or something, right? Yeah. Big flashing, as seen on TV.
Yeah, I love that section. We have a store here, Canadian Tire, with a whole section for that. Love it. Yeah.
So,
I'm curious.
How about we as detailers, because around the community, which has been cool, and around the industry, there's been a lot of pop and excitement around some cool television shows that have come out recently. So instead of sending to other detailers and saying, hey, watch this and support the industry. Sounds great. And you know what? If you support them long enough, you'll get a reward for it. There you go. Or think like a business owner. Think like people that, stay in business. And you go, maybe I could do an as seen on TV in my marketing. How would that go? Well, you ask. Good thing we have a new segment of Just the Tip called The Process, aka the second tip, right? I think that's what you said last week.
I like it. Yeah.
So here's the thought, right? Here's where we go. All jokes aside, you get down to it. Here's what I think is the tip as seen on TV, right? You'd put out some type of post or some type of video. Maybe it's you cleaning something. And you started out with as seen on TV, just like you've been watching, and you can list the show if you know the show, or list the channel, or, or whatever. So you can tie in, right? Here's the cross marketing. Here's the tie in as seen on TV, such and such, this show. We also perform this level of work, right? Like there's been some really cool stuff on the TV shows. I enjoy watching them, little side segment. I enjoy watching them. And I think it's enjoyable to differentiate the style of detailer, right? You got one guy who buys a car, he cleans it up really well, keeps it 2 days and flips it and makes $2,500. Then you got the next guy, right? Incredible job. Absolutely almost flawless. Awesome. Incredible. He polished the paint so pristine. And then he scrubbed a leather seat with an old tire brush, right? Like that was interesting. But anyway, he does an incredible job on the car. And that might be what some people would want to showcase. You would go, hey, and maybe you could put a little bit of, this cool looking car that just got polished, or the guy's polishing it, and go, as seen on TV. But if you're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you would like your vehicle transformed as you see on TV, we do it right here. So click this link below and start your transformation today.
I like it. Boom. Right? That's your ad right there.
Easy. As seen on TV. If you're like such and such, right? You want to get such and such. We do it right here.
Yeah.
Just as you've seen on TV. Click the link below.
I like that. Yeah. And it's one of those things that it builds that confidence in in a customer's mind that, oh, okay, so this is instantly trusted because it's, made it to a certain level. It's
If you use that same tool, right? Seen on TV, we even, and hold that tool there, right? Like we even use the same type of equipment. He's a detailer in a different city. We're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Come on down.
Yeah.
Have your little wavy arm going. Come on down. No, that's why I say click the link below, right? Don't tell people to come. Don't tell people like they're watching the video, click the link below.
Yeah, exactly. They take them to your OrbisX booking form, let them book it.
Yes.
Absolutely. But no, that's great feedback, because it's really big and it's important to build that kind of instant trust in customers. And that's why people do that, the as seen on, or, include that with your Google
and you're not wasting your time sending it out to other people. You're marketing. People want to know, how do I get customers? Well, you stop telling other detailers to watch something.
Yeah.
You use that to market to your customers.
It's true. It's so true. Oh, one of the worst things I've seen too, when people do the like for a like and all that stuff. And then they just completely fuck up their algorithm, and then Facebook has no idea who to show your stuff to. Next thing you know, they're showing your stuff only to other detailers. There goes your customers. Well done. Don't do the like for a like.
Here's your sign.
Yeah. But as seen on TV, I like that though. Yeah. Interesting. And that could expand into other things too. Like, let's say if you, I have one guy, he does, he's in Atlanta, and he does detailing for an entire football team. And so he takes care of all their vehicles, everything for all the players. And I always thought, I was like, well, he does do a good job marketing it, but I always thought, like, as used by, like the preferred detailer of, boom, 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 and put logos. You might have to ask for permission.
Yeah, you get into some rights, and you might start having to pay the owner because you're borrowing off of their brand. So I don't know if you can do that.
But sometimes all it takes is a simple conversation with somebody.
Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission.
This is true. Yeah.
Just saying, you might eventually have to ask for permission, and then
but it doesn't even have to be something
involved, but
Yeah. And also, it doesn't have to be that famous. It could be, I don't know, a local tennis club. or something, you know. It could be something like as used by, boom, whatever, or definitely if you do some charity work, and I'm sure they'd be happy
You're
with
trying
the
to take my
exposure.
tip out is what you're doing. And then add in a third fucking tip. God damn it. What the
I
hell
do need
just
to get
happened
shit
here?
on. I need to get shit on by some people. That's every time too. The messages I get.
I'm
someone will
done
be
with
like,
my beer. That means I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't take my tip out and put your third in. God damn it.
I was gonna say we were just sharing, piggybacking, but that's worse.
Never say we're piggybacking when we're talking about this ever again.
Yeah.
Never say that ever again.
Separate tips. It was a joint effort. Jesus. All right, man. Thanks, Marty. Appreciate your time. On that note, I can't wait to get my trophy and my ribbon for the participation, as well as
Your
the top fan
participation is going to
badge.
be piggybacking. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
get a participation trophy for piggybacking and pumping out all these extra tips is what you're going to get.
And a trophy with fucking 3. Oh man, good stuff. I'll see you next week. Appreciate your time, brother. See ya.